Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As a fellow cattle producer, I feel your pain, and I appreciate you all being here today and advocating for our industry and feeding the world, because that's what you do. I wanted to start with fellow Missourian, Mr. Young. Very compelling testimony. You mentioned in there that you think the Packers and Stockyards Act are not being enforced. Could you expound on that a little bit, please?
I feel a little unprepared because I don't have it here before me, and I've read it multiple times.
Right.
But within the Packers and Stockyards Act, everything that's happening in the industry that shouldn't have happened is here. Concentration of the packing industry, and the fair prices to the American cattle ranchers and farmers, are not there. And everything is, the legislation and everything in that Packers and Stockyards Act has been there for 100 years, and it just needs to be enforced.
Great. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I recently introduced with Representative Panetta, who was here a little bit ago, but the Amplifying Processing of Livestock in the United States Act, which works to fix the regulatory roadblocks to increasing meat processing capacity and allowing livestock auction market owners to invest in small and regional packing facilities. So, Mr. Schiefelbein, you discussed processing capacity and the relationship between cattle producers and meat packers. In fact, you say in your testimony that without access to beef processing, raising cattle would not be profitable enterprise. So can you share your thoughts about the A+ Act and ways Congress can work to increase processing capacity and competition for livestock?
Yes, absolutely. And we are 100% supportive of the A+ Act. We believe anytime you can allow another group of individuals to come in and help add hook space, it's a good solution for the industry. And I think what we're living with, the current situation, is just an antiquated law, a law that defined an industry much different than what it is today. And I think allowing those sale barn operators to participate in owning a packing processor, provided it's small, makes a great deal of sense, and I commend you for your efforts.
Well, thank you. You would think this would be a no-brainer, something that we could get past very easily, hopefully, and the chairman and others and the ranking member maybe can help support this, because it's just makes sense to allow these sale barn owners to be able to invest in meatpacking plants and start one locally there. And last summer, I introduced the Optimizing the Cattle Market Act of 2021, which, among other things, includes the creation of the USDA maintained cattle contract library, and is very, very pleased to work with Representative Johnson and others to get that passed. So do you believe that establishing a contract library for cattle, similar to establishing the swine contract library, would provide more transparency to cattle producers in my state as well as others, Mr. Schiefelbein?
Yes, well, I hope so, and that's why it's a pilot project, and that's why I actually like the way it's played out, is you can learn as you go, and we want to make sure as you carefully construct that library, that's done it in the right way. And sometimes the devil's in the details, right? And that's why this pilot project makes a great deal of sense, in that we want to make sure that as we enlighten everybody into what the contracts look like, we don't enlighten the packers more than we enlighten the producers. So there needs to be a balance to make sure it's written correctly and make sure it's done correctly and initiated correctly so that it benefits the right people. So yes, we're in favor of it, but the devil's in the details on the contract library.
Well, I'm hopeful that will be helpful. I think it's time to empower the cattle producer themselves to know what some of the deals are that the meat packers are giving, and maybe leverage that a little bit more so they can get a better deal in the process. So I'm hopeful for that. And I appreciate your comments about the DOJ investigation. I just want to say on the record, I'm very frustrated with the Department of Justice in this, that it's been over 2 years and we've heard nothing. I co-signed a letter with Representative Johnson and many others in this room asking just several months ago, the Department of Justice, can you give us an update? When can we anticipate this will be done? We just got this generic letter back back basically saying, well, we can't comment on any investigation. We deserve to know, as members of Congress, but certainly as cattle producers, what happened. And if there was any collusion, if there was any price fixing, it really hurt not only consumers with these high costs, but the box beef spread that you shared, those cattle producers, those of us who weren't receiving an adequate price. So I just hope that the Department of Justice is listening and will wrap up that investigation as soon as possible so that we can have the information that we deserve. So thank you. With that, I yield back.